Hey, this is Footy Prime.
What a shitty opening.
For all of those new Sonny fans that subscribe to us, thank you for putting up with us. We appreciate it.
Yes, that YouTube video is well beyond 8,000 views now, right? And lots of new subscribers. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've stepped in it. It's officially Footy Prime.
Well done.
Thank you. So we've got Jeff Cole and Dan Wong, who is apparently going to sound canned after the fact, after this edit with his microphone, but I think you sound great. Craig Forrest and Jimmy Brennan, and I'm Amy Walsh. James Sharman is still away, but he will be back, I think, midweek, which will be good for me and all of you listeners and viewers because we'll have a proper host back. But today there's lots to talk about, right? I mean, I think not only Sonny and his arrival to MLS, I think we had Cara Lang on. So if anybody hasn't caught that podcast, Cara joined Forrest and I last week, talked about the South Korean icon coming to MLS, what that meant, the process for LAFC to nab Son, what it meant for that Korean community in LA and California in the US, but I think worldwide, and people who are probably subscribing to Apple and MLS Season Pass just to watch him and just sort of the reverberations that are going to be felt, I think, in the wider footballing community. So check that out if you haven't yet. But we thought his debut was going to be a little bit later. I think the first home match is at the end of this month. But Sonny apparently, by all accounts, was pressing to get it done. The paperwork got done and he played his first away match over the weekend versus the Chicago Fire. And Forrest and I were talking before we pressed the record button, and I just got a chance to see the highlights. He comes in, I think, for Martinez in the 61st minute and makes an immediate impact. Not only draws the penalty, Buanga finishes it, but it looked like he was like the way that some people tell us they listen to their podcasts at 1.5 speed. Like that's the speed that Sonny looked like he was operating in. So I think, Forrest, maybe talk about what you were saying about attacking players and dropping them into MLS and what that means, but a player of Son's quality and what that will bring not only for LAFC, but to the league.
Yeah. We tend to see that with, they bring in top strikers, top forwards in the league, or a little bit top heavy in that area. Don't spend quite as much on the defensive side of things. So they tend to run riot at times, more pace, and they certainly look like it. And watching other highlights as well, even Montreal, Atlanta, Portland game as well. Some of the defenders, as far as pace goes, need a little bit more protection because Sonny was a great example of that. And what a great job he did protecting the ball, getting the first touch on it, drawing that foul for the penalty, which obviously was crucial for them getting the draw at the end of the day, which isn't a bad result. But another thing for them to think about is that everybody that plays against them now, see this with all those players, same with Miami and various other top players that are playing. They've got targets on their back. Like everybody wants to play well. They know there's eyeballs on the game and everybody's watching because of Son or Lloris or whatever. And these teams are raising their game. So they've got to be at their very best, Los Angeles. They're not going to find this easy, but they certainly have the quality to go all the way.
Jimmy, we were talking about Schwanier as well, and he got that start versus Chicago. Yeah. So what do you think that means for him, not only as he seeks to kind of increase his club standing and then his standing with the men's national team? I think he's an important player. But now he gets to play with the likes of Son and Denny Buanga.
Look, I think when he left Grasshopper and came back, I thought it was a great move. And I thought it was important that he does go to a top team rather than, say, for instance, going back to Montreal where they're going to be struggling throughout the season. Now he's playing with a team that's going to be a contender, a team that's going to want to win an MLS Cup. And he's got Son, who's in front of him now. And it's only going to enhance his game, make him better. So I think it was a great move. I'm glad that he did come back to MLS and he went to LA. And this is what it's about for him now. It's about getting minutes and playing week in and week out and getting the attention of Jesse Marsh to make sure that he's in that World Cup squad. Because I think he's a fantastic midfielder. I think he's great with the national team, and he's only going to improve.
I think he's going to be in for a fight as well for that starting position. And so you increase the competition there. It'll hopefully allow him to elevate his game further. Wonger, were there any comments that you wanted to pull from that pod? Because thanks again to Cara, who came on and shared her great expertise of the LA soccer scene there. But my favorite comment, I don't know if we're going to get to it, but people referring to her as the Green Lady, and they were very impressed with her MLS knowledge because Cara was wearing a green shirt. Somebody criticized her tattoos, said they were ugly. I sent it to Cara. We had a good laugh about it. And then somebody else, a South Korean fan, said, you were clearly, like, I'm paraphrasing, you were clearly not raised well to respect somebody else's personal choices. I liked Miss Cara's tattoos. So someone put that person in their place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant. There's two that I wanted to read out. One's from at XAJ01, sold out jerseys, which we knew was going to happen. I'm trying to buy tickets for August 23rd against Dallas. Sold out too. So right under that is basically someone saying the Sonny effect starts now, which was really is what, when I listened to Cara, Craig, and UW speaking on the pod on the weekend, I think I underestimated the reaction from not only the Korean community, but Tottenham Spurs fans and LAFC fans and anyone in California. So really, I mean, the Sonny effect is hitting LA, and it hopefully hits MLS across the board with the Mueller effect. I mean, we have a lot of great things to look forward to. The other one I wanted to read was from at Christy-Y8K. When the season kicks off, the thought of watching Premier League without Sonny, watching Spurs without him, is going to feel utterly gutting. Sonny is Spurs. When you think of Spurs, you think of Sonny. And now the fact I'm meant to watch MLS with a bunch of clueless Americans, honestly, it just doesn't feel real. So two sides of the coin there, I just have to say.
What do you mean? He's going to win the World Cup for them.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So wrong. That was bad.
I think there's also a Cara effect as well. Not just Sonny, but I think Cara coming on and is also an effect. We're underestimating.
Yeah, but we talk about what's good for soccer and our friends and what's good for football in North America. This is great for Cara, right? This is great for Asa too, the Mueller effect, right? Like all of a sudden, the two of the places that our friends are reporting from and covering have some great stories. And LA didn't have as good stories earlier in the season, but Vancouver with Jesper Sorensen, top of the table, and now Mueller. This is going to be one of the more exciting West Coast runs that I'll be watching, which I only started watching 2 or 3 years ago.
Are we going to talk about that performance on the weekend, or the referee's performance in that Whitecaps match versus the Quakes?
What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, because there's history there, right?
Yeah.
With that referee, Tim Ford, back in the spotlight with that it's clearly a slip, and he awards the penalty. The VAR room says, we think you should take a look at this again. Tim Ford, he goes to the screen, is like, nope, I'm sticking to my guns, and it's going to be a penalty. So obviously that changed the course of the match. So does the 2 yellow cards to Ocampo. So we remember, the Vanni Sartini and those comments, right? about Tim Ford. I want to call him Tom Ford. Maybe he's also a fashion designer, but no, this is Tim Ford.
Yeah. Maybe you should stick to fashion.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So I don't know, Forrest, maybe you can weigh in on this. So I think despite the loss, because they end up falling with a 10-man Whitecaps crew, they fall 2-1 to the Quakes. They're still in a strong position. They've got 9 MLS regular season matches left, 6 of which will be at home at BC Place. And then next Sunday against Houston, where you would hope you see the big signing in the new man in Thomas Mueller.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, it was unfortunate on the weekend. I mean, everybody's been there as a player, referees making bad decisions, and the history and whatever. And they're saying kids are LA fans and various different, whatever. I don't buy any of that sort of stuff nonsense. But you're not doing.
You don't buy that? I'm just wondering who's that referee in the Prem that is is it a Liverpool or United fan? And goes, and I'm just saying, I think, Craig, if you played in MLS and had this guy showing up on the pitch, and because that guy didn't he just get tossed or suspended? Wasn't that there's that referee in the Prem who's been having some trouble?
Yes. Who was that? It wasn't Oliver, was it?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, there was some background story to that as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody grows up a football fan. I mean, even the referees have teams. I mean,
yeah,
I would think that they would, they're trying to do the best job they can, because if you keep doing stuff like that, you're not going to be refereeing very often. You're going to be left out.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful. Well, like as a pundit, as somebody covering the match, if you're involved with a certain club, and then you have to avoid making that conflict of interest public, right? You can even argue, like, I advise the Roses, but I cover the league, so I go out of my way to make sure that I'm providing, to the best of my ability, objective analysis, right? So if you're a referee, you're going to be in the spotlight. Of course you can watch games. Of course you're a football fan. I would hope that you are. And of course your kids have the right to have an allegiance as well. But you be very careful yourself to be posed or putting yourself in positions where you might be, you might be introducing a bias. So you have to go out. That's part of your responsibility as somebody who's meant to be objective. So, like, I think he's failing in that regard. Of course, you're allowed to have football clubs and teams that you follow and support, but not publicly. No one's going to say you're not allowed to have a jersey up in a frame at your house or have autographs and things like that. But in publicly, what are you presenting? That's part of your job and your responsibility as a professional, I think.
Yeah. He's probably up to the top of the list as far as exchanging jerseys with the other teams.
Oh, yeah.
You want my referee jersey?
People aren't lining up for that the way they are for Messi or now Son or Mueller, right? Jimmy, sounds like you were going to weigh in on that.
I was going to say,
you have to be neutral. Yeah, you have to be neutral when you're calling games, regardless what you do. Because yes, I can be a fan of a team, but I have to be professional in my job.
Yeah.
If you want your job and you want to have a career in that industry, you have to be neutral and you have to do your best job. It's like, I've called games with, TFC matches before, but I'm very honest and neutral when it comes to calling those games. But still, I support the club, but you have to remain that way. And the thing is too, because if you do become a little bit biased, it stands out, doesn't it? You stand out like a sore thumb. People are like, this is ridiculous.
Exactly. Although I've been criticized when I was doing Premier League as, you don't like Manchester United because you lost 9-0 to them. And it's like, no, that's not actually the case. I don't love Manchester United. But I'll tell you one thing: if you put Manchester United on in Canada every week, the audience is huge. You put Liverpool, huge. Put West Ham on, not so much. You put Ipswich on, not so much. I mean, it's just the way it is. But if they're big audiences are coming to the TV watching Manchester United, you're going to be in a job. So I love Manchester United for that.
And by the same token, I think it makes for compelling viewing because you have the likes of Ian Wright or Roy Keane or Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville on. There's a bias, and you're going to say, Jimmy, we've had this discussion about you saying we, whether you're on the call or you're on a panel, right? It's going to introduce something. And that's what you're looking for. You don't just want people to be blah and vanilla and neutral. Like, that there's a history, and that's part of the reason why you're tuning in. However, as an official or as a referee, probably not the prudent thing to be doing.
Yeah. Or if you're doing play-by-play and you're an analyst, that sort of thing, stay neutral. You come into the studio, you might get Roy Keane or whoever making a comment that's obviously going to be a little bit.
But if you're a referee, you definitely cannot celebrate with the team when they score.
No.
LAFC scores.
Yeah, exactly. Sliding on his knees.
Great goal, son. Great goal.
Karate chopping the corner flag. Like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Taking your shirt off, running down the field. But there was a comment. I read it this morning. And it actually was an article. I forget. I'm sorry. I should have written it down. But it was more about the level of refereeing at MLS. And as any leagues, this is still, when we compare it to the Prem, to some leagues in South America, this is still a relatively new, 25 years in, whatever. But the refereeing now, with the focus and the Apple Plus deal, worldwide attention with Son and Mueller and every other, and Messi, of course, these things are going to stand out more. Has MLS, have we seen an improvement in refereeing, Jimmy?
In MLS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I think the officiating has got better. Yeah. Sorry, Jimmy, I didn't realize you were going to expand on that.
He wasn't, Forrest. Thanks for jumping in.
No, I actually was. I was going to do a comparable, but
let's go on.
No. Go on, Saxon. I'll jump on the back of you.
No,
like
I think
the referee celebrating.
They made a real effort to try to improve the refereeing, and even in the Premier League, we see in the top leagues in the world, we see mistakes. It happens every single week. It's the most difficult job to do. Even with VAR, should help them, of course, but even with VAR, the decisions are still up in the air and certainly debatable, and we had that happen all the time. Yeah,
I think they, when you look at MLS, what is it? Is it FIFA Pro? The referee committee. It is, right? Mm-hmm. And like they have to go through that process, and in order to ref certain games. And I just think over time, you see the referees have gotten a hell of a lot better in Major League Soccer. Even when I was playing back in the day, there was a few that were very, very good, that were approachable, that were had a great eye and really understood the emotions of a game. And then there was a few that were just terrible and just couldn't get up to speed with the match. And I think it's better now, because I think a lot of the referees really understand the emotions of a game, right? And they understand, the players, they're up to speed with the play, and it has improved an awful lot. And I think, my comparable was going to be with CPL. I think the CPL's got a long way to go when it comes to its refereeing. There's a few that really are up to speed with it, and there's a few that are so far behind right now. And it
seems like game management seems to be the biggest thing, and learning how to do that right from the get-go, coming out of the tunnels, managing the game, the emotions of the game and how that's going. And most of the time they get it right.
Yeah. And I would also say in NSL, they're, I believe, the first league to do this. So it's its inaugural year, women's professional league, where the officiating crews are all women. Mm-hmm. And it's quite a rigorous approach. Siggs and I were talking about it on the broadcast last week, and Michelle Pye, who works with Canada Soccer as part of the referee kind of committee or oversees it in Canada, and then also links up with the league to make sure that there's a continuous dialogue there happening. But like there's feedback loops, and the referees are always seeking to get better. But I think the standard immediately has been very good.
Good. That's good to hear.